Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. Today's the 9th of October. It's a Tuesday. It's hot, it's humid, and in North Carolina here, I guess, and I've heard it said that it's now autumn, it's October, and it's really summer with pumpkins. It's been so hot, so humid, that I really haven't been motivated to get a whole lot done. Around here at our bug out location, it's just been too blasted hot and humid. But I wanted to take some time to reflect on the political happenings for the last couple of weeks and really try to focus in on what that's going to mean come a month from now when we go to the polls for the 2018 midterm elections. So stick around. I did a video a couple of years ago right after the 2016 presidential election, and I think it was entitled something very similar to "The Paradigm Has Shifted." And in that video, I described my fears of the left's tendency towards violence. And every day I watch the news, every day I hear the snippets, every day I turn on the blasted television set, I see it and I hear it, and it's happening with regular frequency. If you need any better example, is to go back and re-watch the entire Justice Kavanaugh confirmation hearings for his seat on the Supreme Court. I don't think I've ever seen such uncivil, blatant lies, uncorroborated testimony that people have on the left have been sinking their teeth into, believing all the nonsense. It's just absolutely incredible that they can actually watch the same thing as I watch and believe an entirely opposite viewpoint to the extreme that they're willing to go demonstrate, that they're willing to carry picket signs, they're willing to beat on the doors of the Supreme Court. I just don't get it. I can't think that way. Pillars of Western civilization jurisprudence, and particularly here in the United States, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. That in order to accuse somebody, you've got to have some evidence, you've got to have some corroboration, you've got to have some facts, you've got to have reported to the police so that there could have been a timely investigation. You don't wait 35 or 36 years and bring up uncorroborated, unsubstantiated BS to try to undermine a good man, to undermine a good man and his family, and to undermine this great country of ours. I was just absolutely taken aback by how much vitriol I witnessed over the last 2 weeks. We've got midterm elections coming up in November. I think November 6th is the big day. Early voting starts in many states pretty soon. The energy is there, whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, but the energy is there. And I'm going to say to the folks that have similar political leanings that I do, that if you sit home on voting day and you don't vote, you're actually casting your vote for the enemy. They are the enemy. They want to undermine personal freedoms. They want to undermine liberty. They want to undermine the U.S. Constitution. They want to take and redistribute your wealth. I can't let them do that. I vote. I voted consistently for the last number of God knows how many years. And look at what we've got. Yeah, I wish if voting really did count, that it would make a difference. But nothing seems to change. In fact, it seems to be getting worse. So we've got to be active. I'm using this platform here on YouTube to try to appeal to folks to go do your homework, to go read the Constitution, to go read the accounts of the hearing and the testimony that was given, and make an unbiased decision about what you really saw, what you really feel. And if you feel that Brett Kavanaugh does not deserve to be sitting on the Supreme Court, then you can vote however you need to vote. I think he deserves to be there. I think he's worked hard for it all his life. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you look back in his calendars that you would see that that was one of his career goals, was to be sitting on the Supreme Court one day. And you don't make goals like that and act the way he's been portrayed to be acting. It just doesn't fit. He's not that kind of a guy. I could read it in his eyes, I could read it in his testimony, I could read it in his heart. On the other side, I couldn't understand what the motivation was for Christine Blasey Ford to get up after 35 or 36 years without knowing where, when, who took her there, who drove her home. It made absolutely no sense to me at all that she would devolve into this monster with all these uncorroborated bullshit, excuse my language, BS tales. She made it up. She will be enriched. At last count, I heard that the GoFundMe pages were well over 700,000. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up being even closer to $1 million. And she says, I don't know how to access that kind of stuff. Well, yeah. She will find out. She got her legal defenses paid for. It was all pro bono from what I understand. I don't know what the little envelope there that got passed from a member of Congress into her attorney's hands while they were live on camera, but it sure didn't look like a roadmap to get back home. If you're concerned about the direction and the future of this country, then there's a couple of things that you have to do. You have to go vote. You have to research the issues. You have to make the decisions on the right candidates that represent your points of view, that represent your political philosophy, and get out there and vote. And secondly, no matter how this turns out, we're on the precipice of a second civil war right here in the United States. I don't believe I've ever seen such political division in my life. I don't know what it was like during the Civil War, but it was pretty bad then. It's pretty bad now. The name-calling, the gesturing, the threats, the violence, it's just absolutely uncalled for. So you've got a responsibility not only to vote and research the issues, to come to the right decisions so that you can properly vote, but you have a responsibility to yourself and to your family to be prepared for the worst case scenarios. Because I think we're sitting on the precipice of a civil war, I think it's incumbent on every person out there to be prepared for the worst case scenarios. That means having enough food to get by for weeks and weeks or months and months, to have enough water on hand that you can maintain your health, maintain your hygiene, and that you've got a way to capture and purify water for the future, that you've got a means of shelter, you've got a backup shelter plan, and that you have a means for self-defense. I don't think there's been a more critical time in our history. Yeah, seems like every time that there's an election, this is the biggest election that we've ever had. I think this one is the biggest. 2018 midterm elections are going to set the stage for the 2020 presidential election, and there is going to be at least 2 years worth of political turmoil in this country. Be prepared, get prepared, and do it now. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always. And I'll see you all on the next video.